we look at the generation today, kind of reflecting back on that period of time, we're talking about events that were happening daily, and probably decent size events almost happening weekly. And it's not something you see in the UK now. I know we have a lot of things going on, and I know media propels things forward. Back then it was, unfortunately, it was almost a normality.
Yeah, it had become a normality, which was a shame about it, because it was a very violent phase and of terror action in a part of the United Kingdom. And putting it into context, and a lot of people that Aaron teaches at Sandhurst won't even realise this, because they'll hear about Iraq and they'll hear about Afghanistan and all the rest of it. We had more troops in South Armagh consistently than we ever had in Helmand province in Afghanistan. We had more firepower. We dominated the ground better because of their very real threat. And I remember roads, and joined the Army to see the world. My first ever posting was back home, and we dominated the ground, and we there were no go areas. We just couldn't drive. Had to fly in and fly out because the threat was there. And luckily, having grown up with it, I knew a lot of it because I'd driven across booby-trapped bombs in culverts and past shootings. The garden at the front of our house, I remember hearing machine gun fire one afternoon, and I was in the garden, and I walked out the garden gate to the front drive, and I could smell the cordite. And the machine gun team was the other side of the fence in our neighbour's garden, and it just fired up at a police permanent checkpoint.
Wow.
And that was normal, right? So a lot of people would say that one of the things we're very interested in terms of travel safety is the presence of the abnormal. But for you, that's the presence of the normal, really. So how did that make you resilient in terms of your army service and having to go back into that effectively a war zone, conflict zone, when you were on leave or when you were wanting to pop down to see your parents?
Yeah, it's a very good question, because unless you've grown up in it, you don't understand that it does become a normality that's there. But the normality is not all this is going on, so you're ignoring it. The normality is it gives you that degree of vigilance and understanding, and therefore you know what to look out for. So as you went out shopping, if you walked past a car that didn't have anyone sitting in it, you immediately, the hackles went up. You got worried and you started to look around, and you'd find a policeman or someone and say, "There's an unattended car over there," and because it was a no-no. There were control zones where you couldn't bring unattended cars. It in some of the areas really polarised the communities, but in other areas it didn't. The communities came together, but it built up an element of distrust within some of them. I was very fortunate, brought up in a very mixed community in what was quite a harsh, polarised town, and that translates into whenever you then get into the military and you're being put into areas where you are in danger. Well, I've been shot at. I've had bombs go off close to me, and that's before I even joined the military. So whenever you're in there and you're in a situation where there's gunfire going off, you're not going, "Oh my goodness, that's the first time I've come across gunfire." It's, that's high velocity. That's such and such. It's I can hear it. So it's not coming directly at me, but I need to be worried. Or that bang. Oh, that wasn't very big. You want to see you want to hear a 500-pound car bomb going off.
Yeah.
And you can talk through that. And for me, actually, when I got into the military, I said earlier, joined the Army to see the world. My first ever posting was back to Northern Ireland, and I was 19 years old. I was one of the permanent staff in a enrolment unit where my troops would come in from Germany, trickled in every 4 months, and then they go back to their main unit. But what gave me credibility was standing up in front of them and briefing them, because I had the accent, I had the local knowledge. Most 19-year-old second lieutenants, everyone knows they know nothing and they're not allowed to do anything. I had a slight advantage because
But you didn't have the haircut at the time.
I didn't have the haircut at the time, and I had a frightening moustache. But then most people in the early 80s did.
Yeah.